Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability Time. We are officially here in season 5. It's great to be back. Okay, a couple things before we get started. One, please share this podcast. You never know whose life you're going to save by just sharing the podcast. Two, please leave a review of the podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to your podcast from. Please leave a review. It really helps the algorithm. It really helps the podcast, get more noticed and all that good stuff. And third thing, so in the episode description below, we will have the video podcast link. So if you're wanting to watch the video interaction, please click in the episode description below and you will find the YouTube link. And with that being said, let us get started with whatever episode this is going to be, because I don't know what the episode is going to be right now, because this is a pre-recorded intro. Yes. Alrighty, with that being said, welcome to season 5 of Vulnerability Time. So, Ash loved the hair. I just wanted to give that honor. Everyone, look at the hair. Aren't we just loving it? Yes, give us a little show. Um, okay, so we're continuing, finishing, um, one of the topics that we didn't get to last episode. Um, so I really love that you wanted to, uh, talk about it. Um, is don't fault the victim. Here, I'll let you say
Never
the
fault the victim for the.
offender's actions.
There you go.
Yes, and also, um, what was not trusting and trusting our
To trust and not to trust your feelings. Yeah.
right to trust and not to trust our feelings.
hmm
Yes. Okay, so you had mentioned to me that there was a recent event where these two topics became relevant.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
before I ask you to share, I do want to also mention, for the folks listening, for the folks watching this through video, if I look off in the corner every now and then, I'm checking to make sure this is still recording. Um, and a half, I just kind of get like a little paranoid. I was like, what if I've not been recording it the whole time, even though it's clearly obvious, but I get a little paranoid. So A, and then A and a half, and then B, it's because I'm looking at soundbite times. Just in case AI doesn't do it, just in case AI doesn't do that good of a job. Yes. Okay. All right. So Ash, these two topics became relevant in your life recently. Talk about it.
Well, where do I start? I guess I'll just tell what happened. And
Yes.
so, I met this person, right? And we'll cut some of the stuff just because they ended up being my roommate, right? Long story short. They introduced me to a couple friends and whatnot, and I decided to hang out with one of said friends one on one, and I found out some information about said roommate, and it made me question a lot of things. So, um, this girl had told me that they had made them feel uncomfortable, put them in situations where they didn't feel safe, and just felt like things were being misread and being inappropriate. Um, I don't know if I should say specifics, but
You
Um,
can. It's vulnerability time.
yeah,
I mean, you don't have to though. You don't have
yeah.
to if you want to.
Like it's not necessary, I would say. Um,
I'm
but
proud of you.
point point is they felt uncomfortable with it, and I felt uncomfortable with it living with the person. So, it's three of us in the household. Um, I decided to go to the other roommate and talk to them about it and see how they felt about it. Um, Almost immediately we're like, okay, I think he's got to go. And
Mm-hmm.
um, it just there's patterns in the past, things that were said in the past, just saying feeling more uncomfortable around younger women because of certain reasons, and
Oh, mm-hmm.
just this
Gotcha.
thing, just being a little creepy. So, I had basically um I talked to this roommate about it, and then we talked to another friend about it because I wanted to get like I just wanted to see how everyone was feeling and what the
Mm-hmm.
plan was, because we were basically a little friend group and we'd hang out consistently, and I just needed I feel like it's information that people should know, right? And
Right.
then do with that what you will, but from my understanding, we had all decided like, okay, I don't think we can be around this person and be friends with them or anything like that.
Right. Got to protect your safety.
Exactly. So we sat down with them, called them out on it. So we told them that gotta go, and we're not really like in a place to be friends and whatnot. Um, then people started changing their minds and decided to be friends with the person, which in a way was just it almost felt like a betrayal in a way, not just for, I don't know, like for the victims involved, basically, and just,
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't fathom like the stuff that they were saying a little, not too long ago about this person, and suddenly switching up just because of history, basically. At the end of the day, it's just because they've been friends for years and blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, I know they're not like a
Mm-hmm.
complete terrible person or anything like that. I can acknowledge both things, like both things can exist at once. But
Right.
I need there's got to be a way to hold this person accountable, and
Right. Right.
I don't I don't think forgiving that easily,
Mm-hmm.
and also just they've also betrayed them in different ways, the offender, to the people that want to stay friends with them. So I was just confused, and it was a lot of turmoil in my, like it goes to, should I trust my feelings or not trust my feelings? Am I being too hard on this
Mm-hmm.
person? Am I Is my trauma getting to me and blah blah blah? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, whether it is or not,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for someone who has been a victim and sharing these things, I feel like people should um,
Mm-hmm.
take my
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
thoughts.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we're
my
yeah.
thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and the victims' thoughts like into consideration. Maybe you're just not seeing something that we're seeing, and
Right.
yeah, um,
Or not and not feeling something that we're feeling. You know.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And
Weird.
another, yeah,
Yeah.
another thing that I just found shocking. I ended up talking to my therapist about it.
We love
And
therapy.
yeah, um, I confronted the other roommate about it. I was like, you know what? I feel a little bit betrayed just in our friendship, just because I don't, I feel like you're not meaning what you say. and that's not the type of people that I want to be around, basically. And I remember them saying they apologized, and they said because what I told my therapist was I feel like they are just seeing me as a victim, not as just like a person with morals. Like they every time I would bring up the conversation or they would discuss things with me, they would say, "Are you sure this isn't because of your trauma?" And I just I just wouldn't know what to say.
Right.
And I told my therapist about it, and they kind of uh, reaffirmed that, like, yeah, that's kind of shitty. That's kind of fucked. Um, and I brought that up with the roommate. She apologized and said that it was never about my trauma and doesn't understand why I said that. But they and this other person that I involved would ask me multiple times if it was about my trauma. So I don't know, lack of maybe memory or I don't know. But I didn't even feel like explaining anymore at that point. I was just like, okay, it is what it is. And yeah, that person doesn't live here anymore. I still live with the other roommate
Wait, you
and
said they don't live there anymore?
the offender doesn't live
Yeah,
here anymore.
they don't live there
Yeah.
anymore?
No, we
Okay, good, because we need to feel safe. We,
yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she at least honored that and was like, no, you need to leave. We'll be friends,
Okay,
but to leave, which is, I mean, good. And
yeah.
yeah.
I got teary eyed because I know I'm hearing what you're saying, and you and I are relating on something, and I think it's unspoken and it's understood. Am I getting that right? Yeah, same. Um, this is something interesting that first of all, we love and appreciate the vulnerability. It is important for, and it's hard for us to speak and um, allow our safety to be heard. Um, and that can be hard, because there's that fear, at least for me, there can be that fear of invalidation or of victim blaming. You know what I mean? Whether the person means it or not, unfortunately, I feel like it's so ingrained in society that a lot of people unintentionally do it. It doesn't make the invalidation
Okay.
any less hurtful. It doesn't make yeah, it doesn't make it okay. Just because the intent was not mean to harm, the action still did. It did. It did.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just remind me of another conversation that I had with the offender because the
Mm.
offender um, hadn't realized that they had traumatized someone. And
Oh,
I understood that
yeah.
that didn't go through their head in the first meeting because it just didn't feel like anyone was taking it as seriously as it should have been.
Right.
And I ended up sharing another previous like story that's similar to one of his actions. And I told him like I still think about this, even though the intentions weren't specifically to harm me, or at least that I'm aware of. It
Right.
still
Right.
harmed me. I still think about it to this day, and I need you to understand that you fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
That was not okay.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. He needed to
and
hear that.
yeah, and I did it, like in the most kindest way possible. I feel like I shouldn't have had to do that, but because I did have love for this person at some point, I wanted them to understand that this isn't to
Right.
hurt you, this is to help you. And yeah, his mind was blown, and that I think those were the words that I said. I was like, even if the intention wasn't there, there was still harm done, and you need to acknowledge that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mm. No. Royalty, if we start crying, that is okay. That is okay. I'm literally getting teary eyed, but that's a beautiful thing. The fact that and that's hard to do. What I'm about to say is so hard to do. So I am literally so proud of you. And the fact that you can still recognize the offender's autonomy enough to hold them accountable to help them.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so huge coming from folks like me and you. Um, I'm not fully saying it because I want to respect your boundaries, but if you allow me to say it, I will say it just to give the audience who
Yeah. Go
aren't
for it.
like I can say it.
Yeah.
So survivors like me and you, um, survivors is it S abuse survivors?
Yeah.
Okay, we recognize each other. I remember when I first
Yeah.
said it in part one of the episode, and usually what people do is their eyes get big, or they do this, or they look away. That's usually a sign that they have been through it as well when someone else mentions it. Um, so yeah, um, I could tell when I first said it. But the fact that you're still able, you know how it took me years to do that. It took me taking a sex offender um, class in my criminal justice degree. We were to learn about sex offenders and where they're coming from. So we took a sex offender class.
Mhm.
Now, this wasn't a class for sex offenders. This was a
Right.
class about sex offenders,
Yeah.
just for folks listening.
Just to be clear.
Um, that class was, and I can't believe it, that class was so healing for me. I mean, I carried, and hate, I know as much as people who are all for toxic positivity don't want to say this, but hate does serve its purpose. Hate can be a part of the healing journey. That is a way of the victim, healing, getting through, acknowledging the
Yes.
damage, the fact that they're facing the damage so authentically can cause there to be hate. That is a sign that they are facing it authentically, that they are not skipping a beat, that they're not just throwing it under the rug. They're just like, no, I hate this person right now, and I'm probably going to hate them for about, what, 5, 6 years. I have the right to hate them. I heal differently. We all can heal. So it took me over it took me so long, but that class helped me to recognize the autonomy. It helped me to um it helped me to have compassion in a way, and by compassion I mean when they get locked up, I want to make sure that they're not just sitting there. They need to take treatment classes. They need to,
Absolutely.
victim impact classes. I want them to be better
You're just
because
gonna go out and do it again if there's not
exactly,
appropriate rehab or whatever you want to call it. Hmm.
exactly. I need there to be rehabilitation because these are the actual statistics because I'm a McNair research scholar, everyone, and I've done tons of
Mhm.
research.
Mhm.
But within 3 years of incarceration, 68% of those who are currently incarcerated will be released. Within 6 years, or is it 5 years? Yeah, within 6 years, 72% of current incarcerated individuals will be released. Within 10 years, 83% will be released. So within 3 years, majority of the current incarcerated individuals will be back in society. And we're seeing recidivism rates. Folks who don't know what recidivism rates is, that means they go back in prison. Like there's that, okay, they did an action, they got released. They're going to do something else and come right back in prison. And a lot, unfortunately, majority are coming out without any rehabilitation. They're only coming out with having been punished, having been locked up, but not having the problem locked down on, having the root problem locked down on. A lot of people struggle with
Yeah.
addiction. Addiction is not a crime. But talking about, sex offenders,
Sorry,
you
I just
know,
wanted to say this real quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Uh, it's just to give perspective. So, say someone has an addiction problem, goes in for drugs, whatnot.
Yeah.
What happens in that process? You lose your friends, you lose your family for being in jail, doing the things that you're doing, whatever. Who's gonna have your back when you get out?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
your
Where's the
drug dealer.
support?
Probably your drug dealer. So they're gonna call their drug dealer. They'll be like, "Yeah, I got you out of jail, whatever. I'll front you some stuff," and
Mm.
then the cycle begins again. So it's just
Yes,
like
exactly.
if
Exactly.
that is not taken care of, it's just gonna repeat. But anyways, continue.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I'm glad you said that. This is conversational. You don't have to apologize for interrupting. No, that is very, very true. Like a lot of people are just being dumped back into the world without any support. And like you said, that is important. The fact that there is a lot of loss while the person is incarcerated, and then they go back into the world, and what used to support them, it's no longer there. Um, but yes, when it comes to the sex offenders, they're going to be back out. Okay, they're going to be back out quicker than you think. Okay, there needs to be rehabilitation. There needs to be treatment. I'm not. I can't just. I They cannot repeat. They cannot be repeating. There's so much damage
Yeah.
that happens because of it. So and this is something really interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. While I stall, um, you can save 15% or more on Geico Insurance with Flow. No, Flow's Progressive.
I
Flow's
go.
Progressive. Uh, yeah, you can save 15% or more on car insurance. Okay, so here's the thing society has added so much unintentional, intentional, and unnecessary and ignorant shame upon the word victim. Um, Victim is a noun. It is a legal statement. It is a legal statement. It's a noun. It's just describing something. Like offender, that is a noun. That is a legal statement as well. You know, it's a neutral term. It's just to describe something. Um, this is what victim means. A person harmed or injured or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. It is literally just describing something, to give something a name so that we can move forward with whatever has been going on. It's important to identify. And so that's what that word is for. And I promise you, I'm getting to a point. Um, Victim also means a person who individually or collectively have suffered harm, including physical or mental injury, emotional suffering, economical, substance impairment, fundament, um, a violation of their fundamental rights through acts of omissions that are of criminal nature. Like I said, the word victim is a legal term. Society has taken that word and turned it into something shameful. I was just like, there's nothing shameful in these nothing in these definitions say the word victim should be shamed. No, this is describing something. This is to help us gather information and statistics so we can prevent something from happening
Yeah.
again.
Mhm.
Yes, people. It, the word victim, it's literally just a thing. I am proud to say, hey, I am a victim and I'm a survivor because I know the true, and I'm not, I'm talking to society listening, you know, I'm proud to say this is what has happened to me. I am, um, vulnerable enough and finally at a place in my life where I can state what happened to me and tell my truth because my truth could help someone else. You know what I mean? And no pain goes in vain.
Mm-hmm.
You
Period.
know, yes. That's actually the way you said it is just perfect. I mean, Ash, excuse me. The way you said it was just
You're,
perfect. You're like, mm-hmm, period. Just, that was perfect, Ash. Yes, it is. I think it's so empowering. You know, I think the word victim needs to get its power back, um, because that word used to never have shame on it. You know, it's just it's a noun. It's not a
yeah.
shame. It's a noun. And when people say victim mentality, there's no such thing as a victim mentality. There's a such thing as a fixed mentality, but there's no such thing as a victim mentality. You know, and so I hate hearing, um and I understand that many people, they don't mean it when they say this. They don't mean any harm. They're
Yeah.
just trying their best. But I hate hearing, oh, don't have a victim mentality. That's just inadvertently adding shame to the word victim. You
Yeah, thank
know,
you
I
for
was like,
saying that. It's
yeah.
a little eye-opening. It just reminds me of like just taking like crazy, trying to not use crazy
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. You're so right. Victim mentality, a lot of people use it just to say what they mean, but it's adding
Mm-hmm.
stigma. You're like totally right, and I haven't thought about it
Yeah.
like because it's so engraved and just normal. But there's something under that, underlying there. So
Exactly, exactly. And like you said, it's increasing or creating stigma in that moment. It can hold someone back from being honest about what happened to them, you
yeah,
know, and then the victim ends up getting blamed. And I'm just like, uh, a lot of times in society, we like to blame the reaction and not realizing that you can't spell the word reaction without action. So I'm like, if we're going to blame, you know, I'm not saying I'm a fan,
hmm
but I'm just saying, you know, in some form of logically thinking, this is what I wanted to tell someone. If only I had the words. I'm just like, you know, you're blaming the reaction of this person who's been abused, but you're not blaming the action that caused this reaction.
yeah,
You're saying the word action in reaction, but you're not acknowledging that action because it's too uncomfortable, is it? It's easier
hmm
to point the finger at the reaction, which is what we physically see. We hadn't seen this person. We didn't walk in on this person being abused. You know what I mean? So it's easier for
exactly.
people. Exactly. So that's what I just would love to tell. If I could get on a podium and tell society, I would just be like, we blame, and I say we because we are taught this, we're all in this together. There's no separation here. We're all coming together to learn. We blame, we are so quick to blame reaction. We do not look at the action all the time. When they're, if you're going to hold something accountable, hold it accountable in the order that it came. Okay?
Yeah.
What
hmm
happened first, you know, and then from the action, we can also realize if this reaction even deserves any blaming, deserves any, you know, pushback. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for example, if two people get in a bar fight, you know what I mean? One person threw a drink on someone, so the other person hit them. Let's look at the action that caused that reaction. You know, this
Exactly.
person threw a drink. Of course, the reaction is going to be someone hitting them. So, you know, of course we can look at that and be like, this person didn't just hit them. There was a reason why they hit them. You know, doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily meaning that, oh, it makes it right what the person did. You know, it doesn't necessarily,
Yeah.
but not everything has to be good in order to be understood. Now, if we're looking at someone who's been abused sexually, We're looking at the reaction, which is talking about it, which is being honest, which is bringing it up. You know what I mean? There's nothing bad about speaking about something. You know what I mean? There's nothing bad about speaking about what happened to you.
I
So,
think it's also, sorry, it's
yeah,
also important
go
to
ahead.
acknowledge that there is different reactions as well, because I feel like a lot of the time
Yeah.
people are like, oh, well, it seemed like they were into it at the time or some shit like that. But it's like,
Mm, yeah.
you freeze up, you're scared,
Freeze.
you
Yeah.
don't know what to do. Like, what if I don't go through with this? Something even
What if
worse is
this
gonna
person's gonna
happen. Like,
exactly?
what if or, or maybe you don't even react at all and you just freeze. Like that's also a possibility, and that's also something
Yeah.
I've gone through. And it's just like you don't know how you're gonna react, but no matter how it is, it doesn't excuse, like you said, the initial action that made
Exactly.
that nervous system freak out.
Right. Exactly. And it's like we wouldn't even be in this situation had the action not happened. So I'm just like, all this blaming on the victim, that's gotta stop. That's gotta go. Like, investigate like that. That's gotta go. We need to look at the action, folks. We gotta look at the action. The action shouldn't happen. That's what shouldn't have happened. It's that person. It's the offender's fault that any of this was created in the first place.
Mhm.
It is not the victim's fault. The victim didn't. The victim didn't say, "Hey, I want this act." The victim was not born saying, "Hey, I want this action done to me." It happened because of the offender, and that's. I forgot what I was gonna say after
You're
this. Give me
good.
some fire
It's
stuff. What did you
uh,
just mention? Maybe that'll help me remember.
um that the reactions can be different. That you could fight.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. We are taught a lot in schools fight or flight, right? We're not taught the other F's. So it's really fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And um, fight, we know what that means. Flight, we know what that means. Freeze is what you just said. We freeze up. The body is very complex. The body freezes up. That's why, like a lot of people, let's say if they're about to get hit by a car or something and they just freeze, you know, their body is doing that on their own. They don't
Yeah.
even realize that they're doing that. And then fawn means it's kind of like what's that popular show that people watch on Netflix when people are trapped in a bank and then what's her name falls in love with one of the bank robbers?
I don't know.
It's Money Heist, I think.
Okay.
I think it's Money Heist. So that's an example of fawn when the
Mm,
person begins to cater to the abuser because that's all that's there. They're in a heightened, everyone's in a heightened state. Well, all the potential victims or victims are in a heightened state. Let me read the exact definition so that I can properly say this because this is something that we don't hear about. You know what I mean? We just know about fight or flight, and we're thinking that
yeah.
that's the only two. There's so much more. Let me see. Um, it's a trauma response that uses people pleasing behavior to appease or supplicate an aggressor, avoid conflict, and ensure safety. So it is a people pleasing defense mechanism so that it's our way of avoiding conflict, ensuring our safety from the aggressor because we don't know if something worse could happen.
Hmm.
So we want to do our best to minimize any type of hurt. That's what that fawn is. I spelled it wrong. Oh no, I spelled it right. Go me. So that's important to mention. You know,
Yeah.
victims don't need any blaming. They need supporting. They need to be told this is not your fault. You know, the offender has free will to choose their actions, and they chose to do a different action. It doesn't matter. Um, it, it doesn't matter if you're saying the word no and smiling. You know what I mean? The offender needs to take that word no and choose not to do those actions. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Um,
Exactly. Hmm.
I think it's like consent 101, like anything other than a yes, or if it like if you've had conversations before, like I think a big one that I feel like people don't, I don't know, I don't think enough people talk about is being, say you're with a significant other, whatever, and you're drinking and whatnot. I think consent, like under the influence, is just like it's a no because they
It's a
can't
no.
consent, right?
Right.
But if you're with someone and you've previously had a conversation of, hey, we're under the influence and I want to, then take that as a yes. But if I say no, then no.
Right.
But like there's conversations about this stuff. And there's kinks
Right.
also. Like if want to get
Right.
real
Yeah.
vulnerable about it, there's like free use and everything
Right.
like that. So it's like but you have to have those conversations
Right, you gotta have that
beforehand.
communication.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Because, like you said, the kinks, that the fetishes, that is a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why
Mhm.
it's important to have those conversations. You know, and that communication. So
Mhm.
that yeah, preach, Ash, preach. And then that. Oh my God, where'd you get that cup? That is super cute.
The garage stand.
Shut up. Also, high five, you fellow Xboxer. But I'm also seeing a PlayStation there.
Yeah,
Bougie.
yeah.
Bougie. We love that. Yes, yes. Um, do you have anything else? Last thing. Well, last thing for me. You're free range. You can do whatever. Um,
Okay.
Uh, I say last thing because I just like I forgot to say this earlier. So that's the thing about like trauma and then like feelings because it's like I had to go through a lot of healing, self awareness, and relearning and retrusting myself and my feelings in order
Mhm.
for me to be able to discern. Okay, can I trust this feeling? Is this just my trauma feeling? Because that's a
Mhm.
response to something. You know, um, or is this a valid, like, I mean, both valid, but is this like an actual feeling that I can trust and I'm not just going based off trauma? You know what I mean? So it took me a lot of therapy. We love therapy. It took me a lot of years, um, a lot of years to, in self awareness and checking myself in the moment, assessing the situation, validating myself, validating my trauma, while also looking at the situation more logically,
Yeah.
but also completely including my emotions in there. Honest. That's just how I did it. I'm a fan of emotions. He, yeah, there's a reason
I
why.
um going off of that, I think
Yeah,
I it also took me a lot of time and figuring that shit out. But I feel like going through this recently kind of showed me like how much work I've done because making that decision, I thank you. I lost all the friends I made here because of that. And I mean, I currently am kind of facing like a little bit of loneliness in the friend world at least. So it's like, um, it's hard because you want to stick to your, like, I'm gonna teary-eyed, your morals and like what you believe in and whatnot. And
yeah.
sometimes like loss comes with that.
Oh my God, you're gonna cry too. It's okay. We're crying together. Vulnerability time. Exactly. The loss that can come with honesty,
Like
right?
you will most likely um, outgrow people and
Yeah.
those people that you were close to.
Yeah.
And you have to do what's best for you at the end, even if it
Exactly.
means losing them.
It, there is this Um, and if this does trigger, just please stop me.
Hmm.
But in 2022, yeah, I when I was at Ball State University, right? One of the fraternities that I was a part of, I was a part of a frat, yes, well, unfortunately. Um, one of the guys tried to roofie some girl at a party, right? Um, I snitched. I told. I told. That's not okay. That's
Yeah.
not okay. None of them talk to me anymore. One person kind of yelled at me. I kind of got him in check with that. One person blocked me right after a phone conversation because I was just opening up to him, and I was just like I feel alone in this. You know what I mean? It's like no one else is speaking up. You know, they're not talking
Yeah.
to me. You know, and this is a person. The person that blocked me after the phone call. This is a person that they're the same fraternity. It was the Phi Delta fraternity at Ball State University. That people need to be held accountable. So I'm gonna say it because I
All
don't
right.
think the police did anything. They called me to find out information about it. It was a male officer. There was no concern in his voice
Mm,
at all. It made me think of what is it, Title IX? It made me think of the it felt like the type of situation where this has to go to the news if it makes it to the news in order for something to be done about it. I don't know if something was done about it. I don't know. I told. But anyways, so I confided as well in another fraternity member from the same frat but at a different university. He blocked me right after that phone call, and he was a guest on the podcast
oh,
in season 1, or was it season 2? Season 1. I definitely deleted his episode. You know what I
wow.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm tired. I'm tired of society treating women like second class. You know what I mean? Though I see it becoming a lot better now, and I'm starting to see women be treated as equals as well. Um, I'm still tired though of the unfortunate part. I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? And so one of the guys that yelled at me, I told him, I was like, now if that was your girlfriend, you wouldn't be having this attitude, would you?
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, obviously I was a lot emotional in the situation during that
Hmm.
conversation. I was a lot more, and his girlfriend was on the phone as well, and she stuck up for me, so that's good because
Good.
the girls, we understand, we get it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but she had to speak some more sense into him. But he definitely had that frat mindset. You know what I mean? So I felt like, because I already spoke to him about it gracefully. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Twice. And then that third time, he has that frat mindset. I'm not saying all frat guys have this, but he had that stereotypical frat mindset. So he didn't really care
Yeah.
necessarily. He stood up for them. um, I definitely was emotional, and I definitely, though I was still mature with it, my tone and my emotions were definitely there.
Yeah.
My voice was raised. I was not yelling. I was tempted to yell. I'm not trying, but
You weren't feeling heard. People yell and get loud when they're feeling unheard.
it just sucks of how accepted that was. And I told him, I was like, that shit happened to me too. I wasn't roofied though. Okay. Now, luckily, she was super present and aware, and she saw him trying to roof it. and she laughed it out. She laughed about it. And I wasn't there at the party. If I was there, I think I would have threw the drink in his face. I don't know what I would have done. I I think I would have became someone that I'm not. I think I would have became the extremely traumatized Josias who was Trenton back in middle school, because that was my old name. You know, um, I yeah, and so I was told by another old friend of mine who's a sorority member, and she was at the party, and no one spoke. I was the only one that spoke. Nobody spoke, you know, and the fact that it was just so accepted, and I was like, and I told him, I was like,
Disgusting.
you know that stuff happened to me, okay, and that's not okay. I don't care. It's not okay. I don't care if it's your friend. It's not okay. Because if someone did that to your mother, I don't think we would. I don't think we would be having this type of conversation, would we?
Exactly. And
Exactly. And I'm just like, do people need it to happen to them in order to get it?
to get some like empathy, like what?
Honestly,
If you're backing up someone like that, I I'm glad you
yeah,
lost them. Like what? You don't want to
yeah,
be around people like that.
exactly. And that's the thing. Oh, the bro code. We don't tell on each other. I don't
Fuck
get it.
that.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. You know, this is just a way to continue to perpetrate abuse. This is a way to continue to add some trauma. This is a way to continue to add suicide attempts. You know what I mean? It's a way. You know what I mean? And I'm tired of it. You know, I'm tired of it.
Preach.
My first suicide attempt was almost directly correlated to my sexual abuse. You know, it wasn't the only one. I actually did it in this room. I actually did die in this room when I was 15. This
That's
room that
crazy.
I'm recording in.
Wow.
Um, yes. But but yeah. So, ouch. I am so proud of you. You
I'm proud
came
of
on
you.
here. Thank you.
Yeah.
You came on, and you know, I received that. You came on here, spoke about that, and showed emotion. This is something that I learned is that sometimes people don't get it unless they see emotion. Some people need to see the tears in order to get it. Some people need to see the hurt. They need to physically see it in order to get it. You know, and so um that's beautiful. You know what I mean? Because someone right now, not saying that they're a bad person, they just don't get it. But because you showed emotion, someone finally gets it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna recognize. I'm so proud of myself for what I'm about to do, but I'm gonna recognize that frat male mentality really quick. I'm gonna recognize their autonomy really quick. This is no excuse for them. And a lot of them, this is the culture that they've always been around. This is their fathers. This is what society's teaching them. You know, the boys will be boys mentality. So they don't know any better. They were just a child who was taught this ignorant, stupid. Okay, there's a difference between ignorant and stupid. I'm adding both of them in there. Ignorant and stupid mindset, and then they carried it on, not knowing any better, so blind to other realities because this is the one they only knew. So emotion with that other guy, though we're no longer friends anymore. That other guy, he needed to hear because we were on the phone when this happened. Okay, he needed to hear. I'm not talking about the guy that blocked me. I'm talking about the guy whose girlfriend also had to stick up for me. But he needed to hear my emotion. He needed to hear it. It was not enough for me to just say it. He needed to hear it and he needed to see because his girlfriend was in the car with him while he was on the phone with me. He needed to
Yeah.
see her emotion as well. So hearing and seeing, he finally got it. He finally got it. He finally got it.
Oh.
So, this is why I'm a fan of vulnerability. This is why I'm a fan of honesty. I truly think vulnerability equals victory, honesty equals healing. There's so much power in showing our true emotion. That's why I've had to retrain my vocabulary when someone's about to cry. I used to always say, "Oh no, don't cry. If you cry, I'm going to cry." Now I say, "Please cry. I'm going to
Yeah.
cry with you." Show those tears, show that honesty. You know, first and secondly, um, if we do the science, the psychology behind holding in tears, long term that does a necessary amount of damage. So much so that it makes me be like, why is the brain this complex? Like, why should holding in tears, like, that's how much damage a tears holding can do. I
Yeah.
am crying, and I am really proud of you and me for crying. You know, it's like this conversation, Ash. It needed to happen at this exact time because it's going to be released at its exact time. Because remember, we had rescheduled.
Mhm.
We may not have cried yesterday. I don't know. Who knows? But
Yeah.
today we did this. Today I just got a text right now that also put more emotion into me. You know what I mean? That helped me to be more vulnerable. And I'm talking like literally just right now. I got this text 7 minutes ago. And it helped me to be more vulnerable. It helped me to be more vulnerable. Because this is real stuff. This is what happens. And Third thing, Ash, in middle school, I remember this is seventh grade. Yes, we were in Miss Adatiana's class or Adesina. Apparently, it's Adatiana. Do you remember her?
No.
Okay, so that was our science class. There was
Okay.
one, two, three. There were only three good people or three good things that I can remember from my childhood. I'm not even joking. Everything else was bad. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. Literally. I mean, insane. One, someone named Michael, on my birthday, he gave me $1.
Oh.
No one knew, no one cared about my birthday. I remember we were walking out of health class, um, and he gave me $1. That
Oh.
meant so much to me because my life growing up was just full of nothing but trauma and abuse. Not only was I
Yeah.
taking abuse at school, I was going home and taking so much more abuse. And two, me and you were friends. You were the first person that I was like, oh, you're like, oh my God, I love you. And I was like, you too. You're like, yeah. And I was like, I never forgot that. And then
Oh.
three, not professor, look at me speaking theology. Um, One of the teachers, her name was Miss Lang, she believed in my singing. She believed in me. And so those are three things. And I was able to tell him that, I got a chance to tell him that. Thankfully, I finally got a chance to tell you. I hope I run into Miss Lang so that I can tell her.
Yeah.
Um, Four people. That was the fourth one. Miss Clark. She was my music teacher in at elementary. There we go. Um, but yes, four people. I knew I was forgetting one. I was like, "There's four," but I only can remember three right now. I'm having a brain fart. But yeah. So all that support just went a long way, you know. And
So
so
sweet. And thank
yes.
you for telling me that. My trauma brain forgot so much. So it's good to know that I could do that for you.
Oh, oh, that word trauma brain. Yes, that word trauma brain. Yes. Yes, trauma brain. Oh, we love shedding tears. But with that being said, I need a tissue. Let me check in my backpack, even though, isn't it cute? It's such a cute backpack.
It's cute.
Even though I know there's no tissues in there, I feel like I have to check anyways for dramatic effect.
Yes,
Yeah,
understand.
for the drama. There are masks in my backpack. Shut up. These are the ones I stole during the pandemic, right? You know,
Oh my
masks were
gosh.
short, right? So I saw there was some masks in a box, right? And they were like, oh, only take one. I took one, I came right back, and I took another one, and I came right back without a hat, and I took another one. I
That's
was
funny.
like, listen, I was like, I'm not catching COVID. I am not catching COVID. Why? Because I hate feeling nauseous.
Yeah,
That is the
that
only thing.
that shit. Oh my God. I avoided
Exactly.
throwing up till I was like 20.
Exactly. That's literally what scared me about COVID is I am scared to be nauseous. I can't breathe when I throw up. I can't. I'm not afraid of shortness of breath. I have anxiety. I already get shortness of breath anyways. That never scared me. Um, I remember I went to the emergency room when I had shortness of breath during the pandemic. Not because necessarily I had shortness of breath, because I'm just like, if I have COVID, I need to be prepared to vomit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm scared of being nauseous. Like, that's the only thing. So these have been in here for 2 years, these masks. Oh. They were in
Wait,
this little zipper.
how long do we have?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have like a set time?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
no, you
okay.
mean the recording? No.
Yes.
I thought you meant till the pandemic's over. I'm like,
Oh, girl. Nah.
go ahead. What's up? What's up?
I was just gonna bring up, remember that time where I got caught writing in my journal in elementary school?
Did we go to elementary together?
Yeah. It was, I'm pretty sure fifth
Who was
grade.
the teacher?
We had two. It was Miss,
Miss Moshe and Miss Davis?
no, we were in that class together too, though. Before that.
Trauma brain. Was it? Okay, fourth grade was Miss McGrath and Miss Keller. Third grade was
Yes.
Miss Millis and Miss Perry.
Miss McGrath and Miss Keller.
I think I do. Tell me about it.
I remember
Go
I
ahead.
was, you remember now?
I think I do. I'm not sure.
I think I
I
was like,
remember.
you would bring it
I,
up to me like every time you saw me. You were like, you were just writing like this. I was doing something. I was probably like
well, was
stimming.
it? Was it because you write like this sometimes?
Oh my gosh.
I remember
Apparently
like
so.
I remember in seventh grade, I was trying to cheat off your paper. We were taking a test, and I was trying to cheat, right? And you
Yeah.
were writing like this, and that's when Miss Adeshina caught me and made me move. And of course, I lied and said I wasn't cheating. And she's like, "I didn't
Oh,
say you were," and I was like, "Damn it, I got caught, didn't I?"
that's
And
funny.
you bring up some, but no, what did you do with the
Yeah,
journal?
I got caught because I think she called on me or like I was doing that and I just looked like abnormal while like we were doing a group discussion and she was just like they took it from me and they read it and
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah, I made Miss
What
Keller
did it
cry.
say?
I made her cry.
You made the teacher cry? That's
I
what they
felt
did. They should have
so
been reading
bad.
that anyways. What if you were writing about trauma? That's what they did.
Exactly. I think I brought some trauma up for her though because I was saying like fuck I forgot what I said. It was mean though.
Were you
I
talking
think
about her? Were you
I
talking
was
about her
talking
weight because she was
shit.
getting a little fat?
No, I was talking
I
about
hate you.
her being mean and saying
She
like
was.
I don't know if she has kids or I feel bad for her kids or some shit like
You savage. You were a savage in
that.
middle school. I mean,
That
in
was
elementary.
fucking yeah, third grade. I felt so bad. And I remember her and Miss McGrath were like homies, right? So she like grabbed my arm and like dragged me to the principal's office because she was like, hell no.
That's what she gets. They were mean. Well, Miss Keller, she was kind of mean
She was kind of
sometimes.
mean though. Yeah.
She
And
was. I think she
then,
was going through something sometimes because sometimes she was mean.
which makes sense, but you know,
Looking back, it makes sense. But yes, as you're probably in that journal, she's miserable. I feel sorry for her kids. She's gaining
yes,
weight.
I totally
Can't
did.
stand her. What is she wearing?
Why is she reading
It's
it?
yeah, why is she reading that? I never understood. I can understand like teachers reading notes, like when people pass notes. Like, I mean, I'm still not a fan of that, but when a student is reading, I mean, when a student is writing down a journal or not sharing notes, um, like not during journal time when we have to write a journal, I mean, in general, what if that student's going through something? It's important to recognize a child's right to privacy. I learned that that is a huge part of childhood developmental stages, and that when that privacy is violated, for example, like when parents punish kids by taking off the door,
Yeah.
that is not okay to do. You have to give the child the right to privacy, even if it is quote unquote your house. Okay, you chose to have a child, so, okay,
You're gonna
you
have
you
to
have a
have some wiggle
house
room
with
there.
doors. Exactly. You gotta realize that it's no longer just your world that exists now. You chose to have a child. Now
How do you
their
feel?
world.
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. I was doing nothing. I was just gonna go back to the fourth grade stuff. I think I do
Oh,
remember that. I think I remember that.
yeah. You would remind me of it multiple times. I'd be like, stop. That shit was so embarrassing. But what I was gonna say, how do you feel about people like
It's
um
terrible.
kids uh so my idea is if a, I feel like you can still teach a kid to be clean without forcing them to clean their room, but like letting their room be the one spot where they can express themselves however that may be.
Ooh, that's a good
I
one.
Yeah, I feel like that's important. People say like if you were to just let a kid do that, they would just fuck it up. But I don't know. I feel like it's a way of teaching them like if you care about your space, you're gonna take care of it. It's like self-care. It's a way to
Right.
introduce that into it without forcing them to clean it all the time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like
Right.
let it come naturally to them because
Yeah.
I feel like that is a natural thing. You want to take care of your
Yeah.
things. You want to take care of your space, but
Right.
if you're forced to do it, you kind of see it as a chore, not really self-care.
You know what? Exactly. And that's something really interesting as well, because there also could be something that I recently learned. And you would think that this is a no brainer. Well, no, you wouldn't think it's a no brainer, because it. Anyways, being a social work major, I learned a lot. um, you, a lot of times, when kids' rooms are messy, it could, not saying all the time, but it could be a symptom of something worse. you
Yeah.
know, Trauma and stuff like that. For example, I didn't realize that I had depression. Um, I didn't realize it for a long time. However, my mother would always tell me, clean your room, and always would yell at me, and I have cuts. I had cuts on my arm. She didn't care about that, but she cared about cleaning the room and cleaning the dishes. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
Even till this day, though my depression, it's a lot better. And thanks to medicine, thanks to therapy, thanks to self awareness, thanks to, just spending time with my
Yeah,
higher
no
powers and
worries.
myself.
Hmm.
Exactly. My room is still very messy. Now, it's more so my room is not messy because of depression. That is a small part of it. It's more so messy because when I don't feel like I am at home, my room will start to reflect that.
Mm.
So like I have all my clean clothes just piled up in a corner, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't feel at home at home. I don't, because I know this is not my home. There's been a lot of trauma that's been in this home. I haven't felt safe in this home for a while. I've seen demons in this home. One time I saw a demon in this home. Um,
Mm.
you know, there's just been a lot of like spiritual like warfare in this household. You know, even in like this room where I got to meet, the Jesus guy. I wish I also got to meet Buddha as well and the rest of the Light Council, but I guess it was appropriate that I got to meet the Jesus guy. Fun fact, folks. Religion has messed up the name of Jesus. You don't have to believe in him. He's just another form of the Light Council, and he is extremely loving, and he doesn't hate anything. It's not how that works. So, folks, just letting you know, there's a difference between information and indoctrination. So, folks, just, unfortunately, a lot of folks have just been indoctrinated, which is mean forcing a belief, not saying that the belief is informative.
Yeah.
That's not what indoctrination is. I'm just going to leave that statement right there, and hopefully someone will, begin to just find out things on their own. No shame though to anyone. I was a person that was indoctrinated, but
I remember
but
that.
yeah, I wish I got to meet other extended masters of the Light Council, because Earth has encountered many extended masters. Buddha is one of them. I can't think of the other names, but Jesus is one of them. Buddha is one of them. Damn it. There's a lot. There's a lot. Over the years. There has been a lot. Damn it. I can't. Whatever. Um, there's a whole council up there. Yeah. So I tried to meet all of them during the suicide attempt. The couple months ago, folks, I did try to meet them. I was
Been
kind of like
months.
looking forward to it. Yeah, this February.
Mhm.
It's April. Shut up.
That's
It is April.
insane. Felt like it
It
wasn't
was.
that long ago.
I. I love how we just talk about it. Just like, oh, I didn't think it was that long ago. Oh, that was that long ago. Oh. um, it was literally. It was literally January tomorrow. It was literally 2023 tomorrow, but it's already April
Wow.
2024. Shut up, right?
Wow.
Okay. Well, this has been a phenomenal episode, folks. Of course it was.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ash, for
Of
coming back.
course.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for having
hearing us
me.
all. Yes.
Mhm.
Hopefully,
Thank you
we'll
for
see you
providing the
next
space
season.
to do that.
Yes. And thank you to all the listeners for being such a judgmental free, safe zone. Seriously, y'all are so safe. Y'all are so safe. I don't have 1 ounce of fear, when I'm crying on this podcast. Thank you to all the listeners in the 35 countries. New Zealand, I just saw that y'all were added to the analytics. Shout out to New Zealand. Thank
Woohoo.
you so much. Um, Thank you for providing a safe space for this podcast to continue. Um, we love that. Alrighty, next episode, folks. Hello, everyone. Before we end the video, I would love to announce, and I am proud to announce that my second book is available now on Amazon. It is called Wounds into Wisdom: Self-Awareness Interactive Journal Notebook with Prompts. If you love learning about yourself, if you want to, go into more self-awareness, if you want to talk to your inner child, if you want to just talk to yourself and, you know, uh, find out new things, this journal notebook with prompts is for you. It is interactive. It has spaces where you can, doodle or draw anything that symbolizes, the prompt. Um, you are able to interact and conversate with these prompts in the journal notebook. And it also has space at the end for you to just journal if you would like to just journal. But yes, these prompts in the book are very wise and thought provoking. Um, it will make you think, I have never thought about that before. I did not recognize that in my life until now. These will blow your mind. These will drop your jaw in a good way. In a good way. But yes, the link to purchase the book, it's on Amazon. The link will be in the episode description below. Also, thank y'all so much for making it to the end of this episode. I challenge you to send this podcast to at least one person. You never know whose life you are going to save by sending this podcast, because they might send it to someone else who really needed to hear it, and that person's life will be saved. Because remember, the point of this podcast, um, in general, vulnerability time, is what if someone's on their way home to end their lives, but because they listened to a special guest or to me, because they listened, they decide to live, even if it's just a little bit longer. This is a life-saving podcast, folks. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And I will see y'all next time for whatever episode that will be, because this is a pre-recorded outro. Alrighty, love y'all tons. Stay amazing. I'm proud of you for still breathing on this earth.